Today, I've got an ATX, I've got a Moomba, and I've got a Supreme. We're gonna put them to the test and see which one's the best. A few of the things that we're going to test today is we're going to test the rough water ride, we're going to test the surf wave, we're going to test the wakeboard wave. We're also going to take a look at the fit and finish and the small amenities in the boat. And then we're also going to do a time on plane with full ballast just to see what the motors and props are doing and which one's going to be the most efficient. We're in the ATX. I just want to point out a few of the things I do like about them. Probably won't mention too many things I don't like about them, because all these boats are pretty well made overall. One thing you can tell right away in this ATX, which is going to make it a little bit more expensive than the others, is you've got these 4 Wet Sounds Rev 10 cans up top, which light up. You've got 6-inch Wet Sound speakers all over the boat, 3 in the cabin, 1 underneath the helm, and then you've got your sub up there too, as well as 2 in the bow. So everybody can kind of listen to their tunes and their wet sounds, and they're virtually the best out there, so that's really a big plus for this boat. Also, you can see all around the boat you've got enough cup holders for everybody. 2 near the glove box and OB. You've got 4 down here on your sides and your speaker channels. You've also got some cup holders in the back. You've got a nice sturdy bimini that when we put it up, there was a bit of a learning curve to it, but all in all it wasn't really that bad. It took me about 30-45 seconds to put the bimini up, which is a good thing. We don't want to spend half our day trying to get our shade up. It seems very sturdy too. One thing that this boat has that I really like is it has its pull-up cleats on top of your gunnels. So it's a little bit easier to set the way that you do your fenders, tie up, all that stuff. It also has your quick release fenders as well, which are a pretty big deal. But again, you can pretty much add that to any boat. You've got a sliding seat. You've got your center walk-through, and you can see that it's gator stepped. Now, different from some of the other boats, this gator step is a single layer with a laser etching, as you'll see in like the Supreme and the Moomba. That's a double layer that comes standard in the Supreme, and I believe is an option in the Moomba. But everything else this boat has, you've had a heater package right here, you've got an outlet here, you've got an outlet back in the walkway, cell charger, a big screen that's very visible, and then a little cubby hole to keep your wallet and all that stuff right in front of the steering wheel. A couple other things I like in the boat. I like the flat panel windshield. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the cutouts here, but I can see why people like them. It's reminiscent on the Supreme, which does, I'll mention, have my favorite windshield of them all. I really like the Supreme windshield. The throttle's very easy to use. It's not super sensitive, but at the same time, it doesn't feel real loose. You've got storage under every seat, which is awesome. And you've got your PTM board racks that mount to the tower. Wish the tower was a little bit taller, especially with these 10 inches, but that's just kind of the price you pay for putting big giant speakers up on your tower. Other things that I really like about it, I like where my arm rest is here over by my throttle. Real easy to use, real comfortable, especially when I'm using my zero off and I don't have to keep my hand on the throttle. I've got some easy switches right here. Push button start on a code. If I want to fill any of my ballast, all I'm doing is flipping a switch. It'll do it for me, and I'll know when they're full when my overflows start kicking out the side and I start hearing water hitting water on the lake. It's got a zero off system, which is the best GPS cruise control out there in my opinion. Most every manufacturer is using that now. Some don't, but most do. And you've also got a pin code start. So you can put your pin code in there. You can have it 4682 1234. Hit the light will turn green. You hit start. So you don't actually need a key to start the boat, which is really awesome. So you don't have to worry about losing your key or anything like that. But at the same time, if you forget your code, you're kind of up to the mercy of finding your code again. All in all, I think this boat's really well. The fit and finish is pretty good. The vinyl seems pretty stout, pretty thick. I noticed it's not double stitched unless they've got an inside stitch and an outside stitch on it. You've got these nice pieces right here that help accent the seats. You've got storage everywhere, and so far I haven't found a hinge on any of the seats. They're all pull up. You can see your ballast bag in the back. Then you've also got your cell phone charger that I mentioned. A really nice walkway through here and a wind dam as well. And one thing I'm a little iffy on, but at the same time I'm kind of digging it right now. I've got my bow filler cushion in the bow, and up underneath that is a hard gel coat piece with gator step on it. So if people are coming in on the front of the boat, they can step on that hard piece of gator step and fiberglass and come right back down into the boat with keeping your feet and all the traffic off your vinyl. There's also a little cutout right there where the cameraman's standing. So you can lounge up in there, but you can also put your feet down in there without having to remove that bow filler cushion. But all in all, so far, we'll check and see how the surf wave is, you know, the rough water ride, our time on plane, we'll do all that. But so far, I think all in all, this is a pretty nice boat. I think it's gonna do well, but only time will see and our test will tell, you know, if this boat surfs a little better than the rest, if it's right in the middle of the road. But also we'll see what kind of value is. This boat, as far as like your price points, is going to be upwards of a little bit more than what the Supreme is, and a little bit more than the Moomba. So right now, with all the options, including this one has an easy stern thruster on it, this is probably going to be brand new MSRP, a little bit more than the others, but we'll see how she does. And then after that, we'll have some results for you after we compare all three. Hey guys, we're out here in boat number 2. This is a 2023 Supreme S220. I'm just going to go through some of the features I really like about it. First, we're going to start at the helm. Here's your screen. You can have a side switch right here. It's going to have all of your menus up on it, from your home screen to your ballast screen for your your quick surf menu right here. All you're doing with the push of a button is just turning that on. I really like that. And then I have a view of every single piece of ballast this boat has, from my bags, my plug and plays in the rear, from my subfloor hard tanks, all the way up to my bow bags in the back. Which this boat, above all the others, is 4,600 pounds of stock ballast, which is about 900 pounds more than any of these other boats out here we have. And again, that's completely stock. On the ATX, I talked about cup holders. You can see in this boat, I've got 4 cup holders in my speaker wells. I've got 2 cup holders for the driver. I've got 2 cup holders up here by my glove box on top of my OB, and I have 2 cup holders in each speaker well up in the front. Now that I mentioned speakers, instead of 6-inch Wet Sounds interior speakers, this one has the 8s. It also comes with standard with 1 set of the Rev 10s with the cans unique to Centurion and Supreme, which I really like those cans quite a bit. And those cans are integrated into the tower by these brackets right here, so you can easily mount a second pair without having a separate bracket or bringing it up around the tower. And as soon as those wires are connected, they will work. I like that quite a bit. It makes audio installs really easy, and it really sets the overall ambiance in the boat, or when you're back there surfing, you can kick out to your tunes. On this boat and all of our boats we do at Upstate Marine, we put our So-Long Biminis on them, which in my opinion is the best bimini out there in the wake surf world. They're really sturdy. They're not going to bend due to high winds or going too fast down the road. Really easy to put back. Those are one of my favorite things about the boat. Also, for rough waters, and this boat rides as good as any of them, if not better. You've got handles for everybody to reach onto, so if you got some older folks or young kids moving around, or a rogue wave comes, you've got something to grab onto. Now, if we move over to our vinyl and our seats, in this particular boat, we've got a pinned hinge. You can pull the hinge out, remove the seat for easy cleaning, but you can also have a hinge to open it and grab your stuff, let it fall down. You don't have to grab the seat, actually move it out of the way to get your stuff or store anything. And as we look at that, you can see right here on this seat, you've got 2 rows of stitching. You've got stitching here, you've got stitching here, and 3 rows right here where they connect. And you can feel how thick it is. Now on the ATX, it wasn't nearly as thick as this. You're gonna feel that difference when you sit on it quite a bit. Big difference in this boat, which I'm one of those people. I've got my full sun pad back here, but I've also got my walk-through right there. So when I'm coming up out of the water from the swim deck, I've got a nice hard platform to step on, and then I can easily lay out here, catch all the sun I want. Also on this boat, and I'll show you real quick that I really like, my swim deck is a lot larger. So instead of being 1.5 feet, I'm almost a full 3 foot behind the boat here. And one thing that I personally really like about these boats is I have A, a cooler, or B, a storage spot for all of my wet ropes, shoes, whatever I want. There's drains in them. Same over here on this side. So if you're backed up to a beach, you know, you can throw ice in one, all your drinks, maybe a sandwich or two. And what I personally do is I keep the other one for all the kids' toys, their goggles, their Barbies, whatever else they're taking to the beach. It's easy to clean up, and when everything dries, it drains to the bilge. The bilge will pump it out, and when it dries, I can easily vacuum it out. One other thing that I really like about this boat, the sliding seat, which seems to be the easiest to use. All I'm doing is lifting up, and I'm pulling. I have 3 different presets in this 22, almost 23 foot boat. Really like that a lot. I'll put my cooler right there, give the kids a little step to come down on, or anybody else, keep them off the vinyl. And as we're moving along the boat, I've got some access points in the boat. This is basically for my front bilge. That's a sending unit. But I've also got this giant 12-inch sub at my feet. And believe me, you will feel that when it's turned up. As far as operating your surf system, you can come into your profiles. They have factory preset profiles for a surf left, a surf right, and a pro surf left and a pro surf right. Very easy. If we wanted to go pro surf left, I'm clicking on pro surf left, I'm activating it. Then I've got some rocker switches over here for my interior lights, docking lights, my blower, my bilge. All my necessities are all there on rocker switches, and then I can add anything I want to the accessories, like underwater lights or anything like that. Now moving on to the tower part, this is the F-Series tower by Roswell. Really like it a lot. It's cable assisted, so I have to go under bridges or get into my garage, Allen key in here, unlock it, move it forward, and honestly, if an 8-year-old was tall enough, they could do it. It's very easy. The cable system helps out a lot. And this is also pretty much the exact same tower, just a little bit different on the accent pieces that comes on the Centurion FI-23s if you choose it as an option. Really like this tower, really like the courtesy lights underneath of it. Also, I wanted to bring up in the ATX, we talked about a single layer gator step. The Supreme comes standard with the 2 layers, so it's going to hold up a little bit longer to foot traffic, to the dog, to the kids, you know, to the mother-in-law. Everybody that's going to be stomping around on this, they're going to have a little bit more cushion. It's not going to get very hot, and it's going to last you probably almost as long as you're going to keep the boat. And you can see also in our vinyl, we've got a 2-tone. We can pick one main color and we can accent it with any color. This one is the Castano Brown with the OTB, I believe that's the Silver Cloud if I remember right, accent. Both will hold up really well to all sorts of abuse. They don't get too hot, but they will get a little bit warm. But for the most part, a towel or a little bit of shade or some wind moving across it will take that out right away. I also like the way, and actually it's a big thing for me, I like the way the helmet's set up, and in particular my captain's chair. I've got this nice bolster that I can sit up, see over the windshield if I want to. There's a mirror that comes along with these, the 16x20 PTM Edge. It's just not installed yet. But what I really like about it, A, the bolster, B, it slides, turns, it's super comfortable, and I've got a nice little footrest to keep my feet on with this gator step up on the sidewall here underneath the helm. Now the big reason I like this windshield quite a bit, A, I think it's the coolest looking one, but B and C and several other reasons is when I'm sitting here or I'm docking, I don't have to stand up, I don't have to get into position to catch the boat. If I've got a rider in the water that needs to get out real quick or needs a hand, I can reach right over to it without standing up, grab them, get them out of the water, help them back, take the board from them. Just makes life a little bit easier in my opinion. But all in all of the boats, I don't want to necessarily say that I think this one is the best, but I like this one quite a bit. But we're also going to take a look at the Moomba next. We're going to see the things that we like about it. And just like this boat and that boat, we're not going to talk too much about what we don't like. We just want to talk about the things that we do like and kind of which ones we think are better than the others at the end. Alright guys, now we're in boat number 3. This is a 2022 Moomba Cayenne. I'm going to show you a few of the things I like about it. Again, in all of these boats you'll notice Wet Sounds audio all the way through them. Wet Sounds is pretty much the best out there, so every boat is winning in that regard. And remember, the Supreme has the 8 inches and the standard 10s up top, so they're kind of winning a little bit there. They've got a sliding seat right behind me just like the Supreme. Double layer gator step. This has the heater package like they all do. And as far as cup holders, we've got 2 over here, 4 over there, 2 back here on the floor and on our side gunnels, 1 for the driver, and 1 on each side up in the bow. Now if we take a look at our vinyl here, we see we do have the welt right here. Feels more of like a plasticky welt than it does an actual vinyl. I could be wrong there, but even as we run our fingers through it and see how soft this cushion is, it's only single layer stitched. No hinges like on the Supreme, so all you can do is either hold it up, move it. Same on this seat. Oh, this one actually has the hinge. I was surprised by that, but that's actually a good thing. So you can grab your stuff out of it without using 2 hands or having somebody to hold the seat. The tower on these boats, I wouldn't necessarily say it was stylish, but it looks cool and it works. The bimini on it, I think I've got about half the shade is what I did in the Supreme, and maybe 2/3 of the shade that I had in the Taiga. As you can tell in the boat, sun being set off back there, we've basically got shade from halfway to our middle seat, pretty much up to the end into our OB right here. So me personally, I would like a little bit more shade. I'm sure there's an option to get more shade back there and move it forward, but this boat currently isn't equipped with really that much shade. We've got maybe 4 feet of actual shade in this boat. Tower seems pretty simple to use. It's already got your key in here. You can unlock, it'll fold forward, and then this comes standard like the Supreme with Roswell's bungee racks. They work just fine. One of the better bungee racks out there. They've got a spot for your surf style boards up top and a spot for your skim style down below. Makes it really easy to use. Just like the ATX, we've got our walkway through right here. We don't have a full sun pad, but we've got, you know, pretty big pads on each side to lay out, tan, whatever you'd like to do. Ballast bags in each side here. I've also got 2 cup holders back here. And then down on my swim deck, very similar to the ATX, we don't really have a lot of length. It does stick out a little bit in the middle. A lot of that has to do with its shape. But I do prefer the bigger swim deck on the Supreme. And most of that is I'm not the smallest guy around. I need a lot of room to get up. And plus, everybody's kids love jumping off that thing and climbing back on. So the bigger it is, the better it is for the kids and everybody, in my opinion. I've got a hard step right here. Keep that off my vinyl, which is a good choice because the vinyl isn't very thick on these boats. It does its job. It does have the cool touch, but I'm gonna be honest with you, everything that's out in the sun, it gets a little warm. Nothing that's gonna blister your feet. As we move on to the helm, you've got some switches here for all of your ballast, things like that. We've got a Fusion head unit over here, and the audio system is fairly good on it. We virtually have the same throttle system and armrest that we had in the ATX, which was adequate. I like it, real easy to go into gear. We've got a cubby hole with a cell phone charger right here. As you can see, the vinyl is just kind of glued there, not sewed on. Something the other boats will do, but Moomba hasn't on this one. Smaller screen than the ATX, around the same size, a little bit smaller than on the Supreme, but not nearly as intricate. More colors, but not as intricate. On a lot of these boats, fill your ballast up on your switches, your surf left or surf right. Just not a lot of adjustability. But as you can see, as we're coming into the shore, I'm going to reverse out a little bit. V-drive is quiet, real easy to use the throttle. We don't have to hammer on it to get it to move or anything like that. Up in your bow, as you can see behind me, you've got the bow filler cushion that you can remove. You've got the other seats moved. None of them are on hinge, and you can tell in this boat, which is about the same length as the other boats, that bow is a little wider, but it's also a little bit shorter. You probably can fit less people in that bow than you can of the 3 boats. Mention the double layer gator step, which I think is a big thing for these boats. You don't want your feet getting hot. You don't want to slip around all around the boat when your feet are wet. And one thing you want is to last. You want it to last as long as you're going to keep the boat. That's a really big thing to me, is just longevity. If I want to keep a boat for 10 years, if I want to keep it for 5 years or 2 years or 1 year, I want to know that it's going to last that time. Now, that being said, a lot of that is how you take care of your stuff. But this boat, just like the Supreme, has the handles for rough water ride. You have gas intakes on both sides, so if you're pulling up to the gas station, you're pulling up to the dock, you don't have to be so sensitive on which side. Same as the Supreme. Tons of storage in this boat. I wouldn't say as much as the Supreme, but there is plenty of storage. You've got a lean back right here, so if somebody wants to sit there, they're not bumping up into the helm. The system with the bolster, this is like a lower profile boat. You sit lower to the floor than you do on the Supreme, similar to the ATX, so I'm most likely all the time going to be riding with the booster up. Overall, all in all, what we have going on in the Cayenne is some pretty good stuff. Some of it's smart, and like I've said in a previous video, I really like how they have the exterior battery switch. ATX has it in the glove box, and Supreme has it tucked up nice and neat up into the OB as well. So that's basically the gist of the Moomba Mackay as far as our interior features. Now we're going to put all these boats to the test, see which each one of them can do as far as their surf wave, wakeboarding wake, their time on plane when we're full ballast, and especially, which is a big deal for me, the rough water ride. We'll see which one of these holes can handle the chop better than the other.
Hey guys, my name's Jeff. I'm the filmmaker slash production guy behind the scenes. Adam requested that I give my own personal opinion on how the boats rode the day we were on the water. I know nothing about boats, I just film stuff, and therefore I'm going to give you a very non-biased opinion because I look at everything from a perspective of smoothness of ride, especially when you're holding a camera. I would definitely say the roughest ride was the ATX. The boat just felt really lightweight and hollow. if that makes sense. So every time we hit a wave, it was a really hard hit, and the boat was kind of jerked around with the really rough waves, as you're going to see in a couple clips here. After that, I would say number 2 would definitely be the Moomba. It felt a little more sturdy, hit the waves pretty spot on, but still it had a slightly cheaper feel. That still had that slight hollow feel to it, with a lot of the plastics. And then lastly, I would say the most sturdy. I know we said a lot of good things about the Supreme, but it really is that good of a premium product. The Supreme just felt heavy. It was solid going over the waves, and it just broke through them like butter. And because of that, I think it's mostly because there's a lot of metal parts, a lot of different pieces to it that are just higher production quality. Therefore, it kind of keeps the boat intact, stronger. So you just kind of cruise right over those waves, and you don't get as much jerking around when you're on rough waters.
Easy peasy.
Well, after all that testing, I hope this video was really informative to you guys. If you've liked anything you see on any 3 of these boats, give us a call at Upstate Marine or hit us up at our website, upstatemarine.com, or you can click the link below. Otherwise, just stop by the shop, give us a shout, and we'll try to do our best for you.